There is no doubt that Lewis Hamilton is one of, or the greatest driver to ever be in Formula One. But he is coming towards the end of his career. Lewis debuted in Formula One in 2008, which means he's been at the very top of it for 15 years now, winning 7 world championships and breaking record upon record. Lewis is now 38 and is coming closer and closer to the end of his Formula One career as the years go on. He is chasing that record-breaking 8th world championship to cement himself as the greatest ever, as he would have broken every record that he could have pretty much. He wants to leave the sport on a high, just like how he entered the sport on a high in his rookie season all those years ago now. Will 2023 be the year that Lewis wins his final world championship and retires on a high? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk a bit about Lewis's contract situation with Mercedes, and will he sign a new one? What is the possibility of Lewis retiring, and when could it be? And finally, when does it eventually retire? Who will replace him at Mercedes, where he's more than likely to finish his career? Well, let's get right into it. To start off with, we are going into some depth about Hamilton's contract situation and what it looks like right now, whether he will even sign an extension. Hamilton's contract actually ends with Mercedes at the end of the 2023 season, and there have been talks over the winter to extend that contract for a year or two. Over the past few years, Mercedes and Hamilton have been working on 1 or 2 year extensions and have not been committing to long-term contracts due to the age of Lewis. Everyone knows that Hamilton has retirement at the back of his mind, and he is determined to win again with Mercedes. Throughout 2022, Lewis seemed defeated at times, but also wanted to help his team get back to the top once again, and he loves the team, and you could see that through his interviews and the way he talks over the team radio. However, there have been talks between both parties regarding a contract extension for 1 or 2 years, with Lewis of course being able to retire when he wants. Lewis recently came out and said that he only wants to stay in the sport for a bit, and this does hint at Lewis not wanting to be here for much longer than 3 or so years. It is possible for drivers over the age of 40 to do well in the sport, just take a look at Fernando Alonso, but it sounds like Lewis will not be in the sport forever. He has done everything he can in the sport, and if he wants to win his 8th world championship, then the sport is done for him. But it's all down to how good the W14 is. If the car cruises to a championship, Lewis may not sign a new contract, but if he doesn't, Lewis may sign on for a few more years to give himself more chances to win that final championship. We will just have to wait and see. Now, onto the talk around retirement, which we have now touched on a little bit, but now we're going to talk about how it could be sooner rather than later. Lewis has many different endeavours outside Formula One that he enjoys and wants to get more involved in, such as music for example. Formula One and racing have been the main part of Hamilton's life ever since he was a little child, and he will eventually want to get a break away from it. The amount of travelling and being away from your family that Formula One has on a person is massive, and Lewis will want to leave this sport very soon so he can enjoy the very little and normal things in life. Lewis in his interviews and whenever he speaks always talks about being positive and happy in life, and he has spoken about this more and more recently. This could suggest that Lewis is nowhere near done with the sport, as he says he's still looking to ways to improve and become a better him every day, even though he spent 15 years in the sport. Recently, Lewis has been in the factory more and more working on the simulator, which hints towards his wanting to get better and better, meaning he is not done yet. Retirement is in the back of Lewis's mind, of course, but he only cares about the present and wants to win this season with Mercedes and the W14. He is looking like he will sign a contract extension, but will it be his last contract in Formula One, or will he keep going until he's 50? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Now, if Lewis does decide to retire in the next few years, there are many options for Mercedes to choose from and who they could pick to replace the all-time great in Hamilton. One possible outcome that could come from Hamilton retire is that George Russell could become the #1 driver. If Russell continues to keep performing until Hamilton leaves the sport, he could easily become the lead driver ahead of anyone who comes into the team, no matter whoever it was. There will be many drivers who will want to join Mercedes once the seat opens up. It is in the driver's nature to try and get the best possible seat that they can, even if Mercedes are not dominating like they were for all those years. Mercedes will look to have either an experienced driver to pair with George, or they will look for another younger driver. On the grid right now, there are several drivers who are young but have good enough experience under their belt to be able to perform at a top team at the highest level. One driver that has good experience but also is very hungry to be able to fight for wins and championships is Lando Norris. Red Bull has tried to take Lando from McLaren on several different occasions, showing he is a top-class talent who deserves a top seat. Lando will be able to form a very good relationship as they are both drivers on very similar levels of talent and will want to beat one another, and this will be a great choice to replace Lewis Hamilton to create an all-British lineup at Mercedes. However, there is one choice which does not make much sense if Lewis was to retire right now, and that is the current Mercedes reserve driver in Mick Schumacher. Mick had a tough couple of years in the sport. With him being the third driver of Mercedes, he will be able to develop his skills at the team and may also have some racing elsewhere at another team or another sport to show his skills. It is a very outlandish call, but it's very possible for sure if Mick is able to prove to the team that he is that driver that showed all of that talent in the junior Formula categories. It is more than likely not going to happen, but it does not rule it out at all. One very good choice that we think Mercedes must go all out and try for when Lewis Hamilton retires is Charles Leclerc. Leclerc is seen as the Ferrari poster boy, but he wants to win. And if the Skoda are unable to provide the car for him to do so, he may look elsewhere. It may seem like a very outside of the box call, but if Mercedes are able to get back to how they were performing in 2020, for example, if Mercedes came calling, it is for certain that Leclerc will take that up. Charles is out of contract at the end of 2024 season, so if Lewis retires at around the same time, it may be something that may make Leclerc leave from his dream team. Overall, it is fair to say that for the next couple of years or so, it will depend on how many different factors if Lewis Hamilton will retire. The main one is, of course, is how good Mercedes are, which is a question we do not know yet. But come the end of the season in Abu Dhabi, we will have a pretty good idea of the possible future of Sir Lewis Hamilton. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure that you like the video and subscribe to watch even more Formula One content just like this.